heart of your teams. The heart of St. Louis. Valley Sports Midwest. The heart of the fan.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Opening week presented by FTX, the official crypto exchange of MLB. It's interleague play tonight. The homestand continues. A brief two-game set. The Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals. And that is the first National League Player of the Week. And what a weekend he had. Nolan Arenado, 6 for 12, couple of home runs, and already has driven in 7. Welcome to the broadcast booth here at Busch Stadium with Jim Edmonds. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We are delighted to have you with us, Jim Hayes as well. And Jimmy, will see the season debut for Dakota Hudson. Last season cut short. Tommy John, but back in there this year.
Yeah, just 2 outings last year. But you know what jumped off the page for me just now? 24 and 10. I mean, that's something we've been missing, right? We didn't see those numbers, but we've been waiting for this guy to make a comeback. But I just cannot believe what success he's had already. The ground balls, those strikes. You know he has a great slider, but the sinker is what's going to keep him in this game.
Who is Dakota Hudson from Dunlap, Tennessee? Young man that was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals. He has returned from Tommy John. We know about all the ground balls and selected as a compensation pick for the loss of Jason Hayward in free agency. Dakota Hudson on the mound tonight. Nolan Arenado in the lineup for St. Louis. What a weekend against Pittsburgh. We'll see if it carries over to tonight. The Cards, the Royals coming up on Bally Sports.
This evening over at Busch is former Cardinal lefty Ricky Horton. Scott Warman with you. We just saw Nolan Arenado there. What a terrific opening to the start of the season for Nolan Arenado, the NL Player of the Week, Ricky.
Well deserved, and not just because of the offense, also the defense. He's really been an outstanding player. 6 straight hits at one point, and 5 of them were for extra bases. He's really powered the ball. He wants to be better this year than he was last year.
And off to a terrific start, batting .500 in the first 3 games. Blues are in action tonight as well. If you're looking for that, we'll give you those channels when we come back on Bally Sports Midwest. It's on Bally Sports Midwest Extra, our second channel. As you see some of the channels there, you can also stream the game on Bally Sports app or at ballysports.com. Dakota Hudson getting his first start of the season. We'll get you set for the first pitch when we come back on Bally Sports Midwest.
2 in interleague play, the Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, Jimmy, rightfully so, we talk a lot about the big guys in the middle of the lineup, but this is where you can get length in the bottom of the lineup with guys that can produce.
Well, the best thing is we got 2 guys that had started off this year at the bottom of the lineup that could very easily be at the top of the lineup, and you can see right now Harrison Bader, very modest, 273, but had some pretty good swings so far this year. He is going to do nothing but keep climbing, and then you have this guy, Tommy Edman.
Tommy Edman had that home run over the weekend. It'll hit from the right side, and that has been his strength in his career early on.
You know what, he was a little off balance, I think, in the first couple of days left-handed. I noticed that the last day he got a little bit better, but you're right, that right-handed swing seems pretty much on point all the time.
Dakota Hudson, his season debut. We were washed out yesterday. We're ready to go tonight. The Royals and the Cardinals' first pitch comes your way next.
Well hit. It is gone.
That baby is out of here.
Nothing can stop the way you're feeling right now. Nothing is standing in your way.
It is always fun, the I-70 Series here in St. Louis in Busch Stadium. The Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals. It is 75 degrees. Beautiful night for baseball. Interleague play began in 1997, and the Cardinals are 70-46 against Kansas City. They have dominated this in-state rivalry. And Dakota Hudson making his 42nd career start. Jimmy talked about it during the open. Pretty good record, 24-10.
Pretty good record, 24-10. 2019, 16-7. And you know what? It is time for him to come back and shine. Hopefully he feels good. Only had about 8 innings this spring, but pitched pretty well. So only 2 games, but 8 innings might be enough. See how far he can get today.
Mike Matheny's lineup, now entering his 3rd season as the skipper of Kansas City. Whit Merrifield, Bobby Witt Jr., and then Andrew Benintendi, the former Red Sox.
Danny, that was the most I've seen.
For a ball.
That was the most I've seen Mike Matheny almost crack a smile in 10 years. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, you played with him.
It was a little smirk almost.
You know he's intense. He was intense as the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1 ball and 1 strike. Merrifield is hitting 176. No homers, 1 run batted in. This guy has been a hits machine. The 1-1 pitch. Most hits since 2017. It's the guy at the plate. 824 of them. And well ahead of Charlie Blackmon, then DJ LeMahieu of the Yankees, Freddie Freeman, and then the Cardinals' Nolan Arenado. Hyundai pitch arsenal on Dakota Hudson. Fastball, breaking ball, but it's that sinker we talk about all the time.
I like the breaking ball and then off speed, which is probably the breaking ball, but great slider, can really get him out of jams, especially against the left-handers.
Got him. The strikeout to start the season for Dakota Hudson.
And oh yeah, he can throw it to the righties too. But the thing that makes this such the weapon, Danny, is the movement on the fastball. I mean, everything is always predicated on the fastball, right? We talk about velocity, we talk about being sneaky, pitching up, pitching down, ground balls, but everything's set up by that fastball. And as a right-handed hitter, when you think you're going to get this pitch right here, for example, this sinker, that right there is going to keep you off of all those sliders away. So now as a hitter, you have to guess, am I going to get this or am I going to get that? And the hardest part is to get the inside sinker, you're obviously going to have to speed up a little bit. And once you've committed, you're done.
And the 1-0 pitch.
There you go.
It's exactly how he set him up there.
Yep. And if you can do that all night long, you're going to be really successful. But the key is to be able to get that fastball in there. It can't be a ball all day either. You've got to have to get some swings and misses and some called strikes.
And the 1-1 pitch. Now 1-2.
And you can see what that does too. Now you get the fastball away. And it's as a hitter, you start to worry so much inside that anything that is away from you, you just panic and take. And then he runs the fastball that can run back over the plate.
The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back Ks to start the night for Dakota Hudson. Andrew Kisner making his season debut behind the plate as we go around the horn, presented by Dobbs. Arenado, DeYoung, Edmund, Goldie on the infield, O'Neill, Bader, and Carlson in the outfield. I'm sure we'll see Yadier Molina in this series tomorrow, and then the Cardinals head out on their first road trip of the season. Andrew Benintendi off to a good start. He's reached base safely in 10 of his last 13 plate appearances, including all 5 yesterday. He's got 6 hits, home run, and 3 walks to begin his year. Nothing in 2. Pumping strikes.
Tell you what, he's carving some guys up right now. And those first 2 guys walk back to the dugout. I don't even want to know what they saw. I don't know what they think. I don't want to know anything after those first 2 at bats. And those are the kind of guys out on the mound you're just like, oh boy, hope he makes mistakes right now.
It's a ball and 2 strikes. Remember in 2019, Dakota Hudson made his way to the St. Louis rotation. And really the downfall, if there was one for Dakota, it was the walks. But his stuff clearly plays.
What was funny is he walked himself into getting bases loaded and multiple guys on, and then pitched out of it.
Missed in, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I go with, I love the way Andrew Knizner right now is calling the game. He is using his imagination. He's using all of his weapons, and he's not just going to the same pitch. He's going to multiple pitches and multiple sides of the plate.
The 2-2. Lifted in the air out to left field. Tyler O'Neill over, and a 1-2-3 start to the season for Dakota Hudson. Coming up for St. Louis, their leadoff man thus far, Dylan Carlson, Paul Goldschmidt, and Tyler O'Neill. No score after a half inning here at Busch. Airing on Bally Sports Midwest Extra. That's our second channel. And it is also streaming on the Bally Sports app. Visit ballysports.com for channel numbers. Blues Bruins airing now on Bally Sports Midwest Extra and the Bally Sports app. Good to see Ali Marmol back in the dugout, feeling much better as he missed a couple of games due to sickness, non-COVID. And his lineup tonight includes one Albert Pujols as the designated hitter with a lefty on the mound, and that is Daniel Lynch. And the first pitch, a strike to Dylan Carlson. He's on a 10-game hitting streak dating back to last season. And it's the 4th longest active streak currently in baseball.
Kind of an interesting lineup here that just goes to show you how much depth this team has. With moving Edman and Bader and DeYoung around, putting Knizner at the end. I mean, you have so many options. You want to leave maybe those 3 or 4 guys alone at the top. Shove Pujols in there, and depending if it's right or left, maybe who's going to hit behind him. We all know that Tommy Edman can really wears out the left-handers. Danny, you were talking about that earlier before the game with me, and you have a couple options down there after him for some good hitting right-handed hitters against left-handed pitching.
2-2 the count. Carlson has reached base safely in 6 of 14 plate appearances in this leadoff spot. It's a .429 on base percentage, and that's such an important aspect of this lineup. It's not only who's hitting behind guys, but also what happens in front of them to give them the opportunities to drive in runs. It's an enviable position to be Dylan Carlson with Goldie, O'Neill, Arenado behind you.
Well,
3-2.
I think, you know, he's not the typical leadoff hitter, but he does walk, and he has power, and he can run. So maybe not exactly what you're looking for. And even I keep saying, you know, I would love to see maybe pushing everyone down, and you get Tommy or you get Bader. So many options, but that is the great thing about this team is you could do whatever you want with those guys.
Hit to the right side and out of play. You say typical leadoff hitter, and then I see Daniel Vogelbach leading off.
Yeah, I forgot.
Kyle Schwarber.
And hang on, wait, let's go backwards.
Yeah.
What did you say? Who could lead off in this game tonight with the Cardinals? You said maybe I'd just like to see it once.
One time, lefty on the mound. I'm throwing Albert in the leadoff spot.
And I laughed and I thought, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
Get him those ABs against the lefties. 3-2. Check swing, and he went. It's a strikeout of Carlson. Hyundai pitch arsenal on this lefty, who is a first-round pick, 34th overall, 2018, out of the University of Virginia. It was a compensation pick for losing Eric Hosmer to free agency to San Diego. He is their number 2 prospect entering this season behind Bobby Witt Jr. Does have a little major league time last year, and that swung on and missed by Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, only 15 games last year, 15 career games. But like you said, number 1 pick, he's got special stuff. We already saw a little hint of it in that first inning, and he looks like he's pumped up. I would be too, pitching in this ballpark.
The 1-1 pitch to Goldschmidt. 1-2. Everybody in baseball raving about the third baseman of the Royals. Off to a slow start at the plate, Bobby Witt Jr. Back-to-back Ks for Daniel Lynch. So Bobby Witt Jr. is at third as we go around the horn. presented by Dobbs. There he is, top prospect in baseball. Mondesi is at short, Lopez at second, Santana at first. Cam Gallagher, your catcher tonight. Benintendi is in left, Taylor in center, Whit Merrifield is in right. There's Tyler O'Neill. O'Neill with a base hit. Jumps on the first pitch. And with his wife Stephanie, dad Terry, mom Marilyn in the seats today, coming from Canada. Base hit for mom and dad and Stephanie.
That's a good job of hitting right here. You get a fastball, four seam. You're hitting third or fourth in this lineup, and you see in either lineup right now, to be honest with you, and you see those guys working quickly on the mound and getting ahead. Go up there and swing. It's early. You want to get out and get in front. You don't need to see pitches when you've been up there watching the first couple guys swing at high fastballs, get a nasty slider inside. So be ready to hit.
Nolan Arenado off to a fabulous start. Time called. Ron Kolpa is the home plate umpire. Albert Pujols is on deck, and I'm not sure I've ever seen him wear his uniform that way.
High socks.
Never remember him wearing.
High sock Tuesday?
I guess so. If Albert does it, it's good enough for everybody else.
It's a little a la Skip Schumacher right there.
Sure is. Normally Albert has the pant leg down to the spikes.
Well, that's, you know, he's going, maybe we said too much about it. Looks like he never left. So he's going to try and switch some stuff up so he doesn't look the same. He stands there on the on deck circle, and you look down from here and you can see the Pujols with the number 5, and it's like just what it always looked like, what I can always remember.
2 balls, no strikes. Nolan Arenado. So 2, 3, and 4 in this lineup have really good numbers against the Royals. There's the career numbers: 7 homers. He's brought in 15. The high slugging percentage for Arenado against KC. Outfield is deep. They are straight away.
Better get it in there.
2 balls and 1 strike.
It's a good pitch right there. And those are good takes too, Danny. You do not want to swing at that. You don't want to swing at anything inside against this lefty. Looks like he's crossfiring a little bit. That ball's really going to ride in hard, and then he can set you up with that slider. You just got to stay out here, out over the plate, stay up the middle. Don't try to do too much.
3-1 the count.
Super nice and patient approach right here by Arenado. I like it.
There's multiple runs batted in all 3 games this year. The club record to do that 4 straight. Mark McGwire in '98. 3-1. 3-2.
It is unhittable right there. That ball right there, it looks like it's going to be a strike. It just keeps chasing you. Again, the velocity is making up the big difference, and I'm willing to bet that 94 is sneaky, because it looks like it's 97 from the TV. It looks like it's really getting on the hitters.
Runner off with a pitch. That's Tyler O'Neill, and the 3-2. Check swing, fouled back. Reminder once again, tonight's Blues game airing on Bally Sports Midwest Extra, the 2nd channel, streaming on the app, and visit ballysports.com for channel numbers. It's the Blues and the Bruins, and Cardinal baseball as well tonight. Pitch number 20 of the inning. Pulled foul.
Telling you, better get it in there with him right now. This is dangerous.
He's really getting the barrel out in front, Jimmy, and he's talked about that. He wants to be a little bit more out in front like that. He thought he got tied up at times last year. Yep. It was a point of emphasis in his work in the offseason.
You know, I talked to him a few times about that. I was telling you, and it scares me because that means guys want to get out there further and further and further. That means you start to fly a little bit early sometimes. He hasn't done that so far this year.
3-2 out to deep left field. It's at the wall. Gone! Nolan has done it again. 3rd home run already. He's driven in 9. It's only the 4th game of the year. 2-0 St. Louis.
telling you what do you say? You better get it in there. You better be careful with the breaking ball. How about this? Maybe we're going to have to start walking him. I don't even know. That's a changeup, maybe? Just didn't have much there. He just... Tell you what, we talked to Hank Keel the other day. He was texting, and he was saying how he keeps his head in the zone forever. That was one right there. Wow, that's special.
A blast by Nolan Arenado. And now it's Albert Pujols. In the air. Out to deep left. It is gone! Welcome back, Albert. It's like you never left. Number 680. And he does it back in St. Louis.
That's unbelievable. And you know what? He hit that ball off the end of the bat,
yes,
too.
Yes, he did.
I don't know about you. I was holding the cough button, and I was actually blowing. Blow, ball, blow, blow, go! Because I know he didn't get it. I got it good enough.
What a moment. Albert Pujols, another home run here at Busch Stadium. He did it with the Angels. He did it with the Dodgers last year. And now, back home, he does it again. Awesome. The 0-2 to Tommy Edman popped up. Santana has it. He crushed lefties a year ago. His first of 2022. His first back in St. Louis with the Birds on the bat. Welcome home, number 5. We have missed you. It is truly amazing when you see this list. Bonds, Aaron, Ruth, A-Rod, and the Cardinals, Albert Pujols. 680 home runs. Remarkable.
I got goosebumps still, Danny.
I do too. Jimmy, he now is homered against 441 different pitchers in the big leagues. The all-time mark is 449. Barry Bonds. But he's got a chance to break that record as well. I mean, that's something too. To have that many home runs off of that many different pitchers. The adjustments that you make inside the at-bat with different guys you see.
You know, we had a little quick conversation and it got broken up, I think, opening day. And I said, you know, I think it might be good for him to be back in the National League. You know, he hasn't seen some of these guys. He's back here. The life that these fans are going to give him. His, you know, it's like he's back, kind of back home. It just, I think there's some game left in that tank. I had a little conversation with Ollie. I said, I think you're going to be surprised when you see Albert. He goes, I already have been. Instantly, he said, he looks way better than I thought he was going to look. I said, don't sleep on that. I guarantee you, he plays more than you think he will. And he says, I'm already in that mode a little bit, watching everything, and I love it.
2-2 the count. Salvador Perez, speaking of home runs, he had 48 last year.
This guy can play too.
I asked Ollie today behind the cage. We were having a great conversation about Albert. And I said, is the hardest thing for you as a manager right now to pull back? Because I know how I'd be. I'm tempted to play him all the time. And yet I realize he's 42 years old as Perez launches one into deep left center. It's at the wall, and that ball is gone. It's a home run. Salvador Perez, his first of 2022. He had 48 of their 163 last year. He was a one-man wrecking crew, and he launched that out to left center and gets the Royals on the board.
Well, this is the one thing with the sinker, right? If you're going to throw a lot of sinkers and you get guys on their toes to hit, you got to get it down. And especially with hitters like this, a good hitter swings the bat at a lot of pitches, and look where this ball ended up, right in the sweet spot. This ball went further than I thought it was going to go to. He killed this ball. Good player. But you got to get the ball down and away from him. You got to make him hit the ball the other way.
Here's Santana, and that's strike one. Very good interleague player over his time with the Indians and now with Kansas City. Since 2010 in interleague play, he's got 31 home runs. But Jimmy, going back to the conversation with Ollie, and he said, Dan, that's exactly what I'm dealing with right now, is the temptation to want to play Albert a lot, but you know the numbers will show it, and his body will tell us as well. You know, this is not Albert Pujols in his prime. It's Albert Pujols destroying lefties, but yet there's going to be some chances against right-handed pitching, and tomorrow might be a good example of that against Zach Greinke, because it's not a hard thrower, and it's the game within the game. So you may see him start tomorrow.
And a guy that he's faced.
Exactly.
I thought that the guy the other day in Pittsburgh, basically, he had a good game, but two-pitch pitcher was actually a decent matchup for Albert. I'd like to see, you know, if he's going to play against righties, maybe a guy who not massive velocity and not a lot of run, more of like a 2 or 3 pitch pitcher, something he can get a good read on. Younger guys tip their pitches. There's all kinds of issues that you can exploit out there on the mound, and then you know you go to him and say, what do you think? You watch the video. You don't have to make the lineup at 1 o'clock in the afternoon some days, or you say, hey, look at this guy tomorrow and tell me what you think.
Sure.
Because that's how I'm reading it. I think there's going to be some at bats against right-handed hitters or right-handed pitchers.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit if he's in there tomorrow. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Mondesi. And Alberto Mondesi, a switch hitter.
A little drastic contrast from his dad, huh?
A little bit. This guy's a good player too.
Fly.
Yep.
Also.
2-1 pitch. 2-2.
He can run just about as fast as his dad could throw a baseball. Remember that arm when he came up?
Cannon.
Oh my gosh. Ouch. Oh.
Remember, Mondesi was in that string of consecutive rookies of the year in Los Angeles with the Dodgers. Karros, Piazza, Mondesi, list goes on and on.
Can you name them all?
Todd Hollandsworth.
Was it 6 in a row?
5 or 6.
5 in a row. You know what's cool is when you leave Dodger Stadium, you get to see all the stuff, right? All the accolades and everything. And that's kind of was a really cool thing for me, because that was right at the beginning of my era. And it was just like bing every year. Bing, 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 right in a row. And they're all right there on that wall underneath.
3-2 off the glove of Hudson, racing in Edman, and no play. If he lets it go, it's probably an out. And that'll be a base hit for Mondesi.
I think if he lets it go, it's still a tough play.
Yep. Mondesi stole 15 bases in 16 attempts last year. That was one of the things the Cardinals worked on a couple of years ago. Jimmy, you may recall, with Dakota Hudson, trying to speed him up a little bit out of the stretch.
Now, Mondesi ran a 4-0 to first base.
Wow.
And that he didn't even get out of the box, I don't think. He thought he grounded back to the pitcher. And when he saw it popped up, he turned on the jets. But 4-0 was pretty fast for a left-handed hitter. I mean, that's the average with good speed is 4.2. So anything below that is exceptional, and then when you get to 4 and below, it's super fast.
So 1 out. Michael A. Taylor, the former National, saw him a bunch in spring training over the years, as he was kind of the 4th outfielder for a while with the Nationals, and is caught on in his 2nd season with Kansas City. So Mondesi, just the 5th player to have 15 or more steals in 35 games or less since 1900. Last to do it was 1986. Chico Walker of the Cubs did it. So it doesn't happen very often. One out and a runner at first, and the 2-0 pitch. Long look by Hudson by design. He is running, and the pitch lifted in the air out to deep left center. Bader back at the wall. It's gone, and the game is tied. 2-run homer, Michael A. Taylor. Coming into this game, the Royals only had 1 home run this year, and now they've gotten 2 here in the second inning.
Know if this is a fastball that just doesn't move, or it's oh, it is a little slider. Just another ball up in the zone a little bit. Like I said, didn't he have to get the ball in order to get the ball away? In that first inning, he was dominant with both of those. In this inning, he's been around the middle of the plate a lot more. He's got to get the ball in, and then you got to get the ball away. You got to get it out of the center of the plate.
Strike to Nicky Lopez.
You know, it's all about trying to throw, pitch to contact, get the ball in the middle of the plate, let it run down, and those last couple home runs haven't gotten down.
And the 0-1 pitch. Kansas City, the last team to hit a home run this season. Benintendi hit a 2-run homer yesterday in the bottom of the 9th. There were more than 100 home runs that were hit this season before the Royals got their first. Benintendi's wife, by the way, is from St. Louis, and they are big Blues fans. The Blues are playing the Bruins. Andrew is the only Sox player. Remember, he was with Boston at the time. He was the only one to wear a Blues jersey. Everybody else wearing the Bruins, and he's got the Blues on. So I guess we got to like him, Jimmy.
That is some guts.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
That was.
The 2-2 pitch to Nicky Lopez. Keep an eye on the pitch count for Hudson. The average right now in Major League Baseball after the first weekend, starters are going just above 4 innings. That's it. And then it gets turned over to the bullpen. 3-2. Jim Edmonds, Toyota, key to the game.
Well, Danny, we had a lot of action. It's hard to get to this, but ground ball outs is the key to Dakota's game tonight, and maybe some strikeouts, but the ground ball outs are going to get him through this game. And you can see so far only 2 mistakes, and both of them have been hit over the wall. So got to get the ball down, get some ground ball outs.
(3-2). Ground ball hit to the right side. Goldschmidt to Hudson, and the out.
That's what the doctor ordered.
Yes, sir.
Could use about, I don't know, 9 or 10 more of those, and out of the next 10 or 11 hitters we'll be all right.
In a normal start to his season, or when he gets built up, I mean, you could think that Dakota Hudson, if he's efficient in a strike zone, would go deep into games. Don't worry about strikeouts, but use what you have behind you, especially when that sinker is working. You're going to get a ton of ground balls.
Well, and then here's the other thing too, and you got to remember this, and we're going to beat this till it's dead, but it's still early, and balls are going to flatten out as they get tired, you know, and you can see the sharpness already is kind of a little bit less, and those are the things you worry about. You just got to concentrate on getting the ball down, staying on top, and keeping your hand on top of that ball.
Here's the 0-1 to Cam Gallagher. 62% ground ball rate since the beginning of the 19th season. 5th highest in baseball among starters for Dakota Hudson. Here's a 1-1. Now when he's behind in the count, sometimes even better with that ground ball rate. The major league average is 40%. How about Dakota? He's at 70% when he's behind in the count.
That's when the hitters are aggressive and they swing. And so, you know, they're getting after what they think is going to be a fastball to hit. And if it sinks just enough, it's just a ground ball from being over aggressive.
2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. With Merrifield, the Royals leadoff man is on deck. Hudson enjoyed a 1-2-3, but has given up 3 here in the top of the 2nd inning. Got him. 3rd strikeout of the night for Dakota Hudson. Coming up for St. Louis, Bader, DeYoung, Kisner. We're tied at 3. Cardinals baseball on Bally Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. By Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. And brought to you by Steel. Real Steel. Find yours at steeldealers.com. What a tremendous moment. Albert Pujols, his first hit back in St. Louis. And it's a home run. The pitch taken high by Harrison Bader. We're tied at 3-3. Bader, DeYoung, and Kisner in the home half of the 2nd. Cardinals come in with a record of 2-1. Took 2 of 3 against Pittsburgh. Rained out yesterday. The Royals are 2-2. They'll return home after the day game tomorrow. Cardinals will begin a long road trip. Off the end of the bat, and Bader flies to Michael A. Taylor. Here are tonight's FTX umpires. St. Louis native Ron Kulpa, the crew chief. First year for Ron as a crew chief in Major League Baseball. Marty Foster, Chris Conroy, and Carlos Torres. Talking with Paul DeYoung down on the field before the game, and we were going over his home run, Jim, and he said it felt so good not only to get that home run, but the manner in which it happened and going the opposite way. He said it just, I've been working so hard on up the middle, but if it's on the outside portion of the plate, taking that way and making sure that I'm driving the ball, not rolling over, not pulling off, and it's obviously paid dividends.
I texted him after that game and I said, that was one of the best swings I've ever seen you take. Keep that in your mind and don't lose that video or that thought process.
Sure.
Because that's kind of what you want. You know, when you're struggling, what you want to go back is find, one, what you're doing wrong, but almost you want to see some positive movement. So I'll take side by side now struggling, and then and this one side by side, and say, okay, I'll start with the setup, and then as the pitch comes out of the hand, and see what I'm doing. And there's always something different. It's never just you're not hitting the ball. It has a lot to do with movement, your head, your front foot pulling off, hands are different, or you're turning your back a little bit to generate too much power because you're tired. And so that is the best swing you can possibly take, and actually got extension going the other way, which is not easy to do.
3-2, missed inside. Another walk for DeYoung. That's also a byproduct of not being jumpy. We're seeing him take more pitches, take what's given. Yep. Download the MLB app to get video highlights, live pitch by pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and more for your St. Louis Cardinals. One out walk, and now it's Andrew Kisner, first plate appearance of the young season for the Cardinals backup catcher. Played winter ball this year in the offseason.
That tells you a lot right there. This man wants to play and is ready to play and wants to be ready and good. That's hard to do.
Well, when you're behind Yadier Molina, as we've seen for almost 2 decades, and you're the backup catcher, you're just not going to play a lot. But that may change this year.
I would love to go back and look, and even from just being around the game for so long, I would love to see a non-Latin player the last time they went and played winter ball on their own after being in the big leagues for 3 or 4 years. I bet you don't see very many at all, if less than a handful.
Well, Kisner felt he needed to get the at-bats for timing and try to stay as sharp as he can because of being a backup and just not playing very much. It's a very difficult job, undoubtedly. It's one of the toughest in the game.
And you know, he switched his approach, his hand position. Really doesn't have a big load anymore. He's trying to just stay on the ball, stay up the middle, and that's something he's been working on over the last couple of years. But when you only hit once a week, if that, it's hard.
Runner at first, that's DeYoung, and the 2-1. Popped up. Santana trying to find it. He does, and it's in fair territory and makes the catch. While we have a moment, quick word from Jack in the Box.
Pop my $5.99 classic and spicy 50-50 popcorn chicken combo. Order on the Jack app today.
The top of the lineup, and Dylan Carlson struck out swinging first time up. Carlson a year ago very good against left-handed pitching. Hit .342 against the lefties. Now right-handed pitching, he had the 13 home runs. Against the lefties he had 5, but the high average of .342. Room on the right side of the infield, 2 outs and a runner at first. DeYoung must be a little confused with Daniel Lynch in his move, because almost every pitch he's going back to the bag at first.
Maybe he's just setting him up.
Maybe so.
Or maybe it looks that good and a little jumpy.
Out to shallow left. Benintendi with the catch. Cardinals strand a runner, their first of the night. We move to the 3rd, and we're tied at 3. Look at Dylan Carlson with more on the young outfielder of St. Louis. Let's send it down to Jim.
Danny, the Cards are looking to get more out of their leadoff spot this season. Last year, they had the 4th lowest on-base percentage in baseball from the leadoff spot. Small sample size, but it looks like Carlson is settling in at the top of the order. Dylan says it hasn't been much of an adjustment. He told me, I kind of feel like I was already a patient hitter. Being able to work counts occasionally, being able to pick and choose some pitches is a little different in certain situations. Carlson says there is one thing he's always aware of. He said, hitting in front of the guys I'm hitting in front of, you better be ready to hit. So far, so good, Danny.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. You're going to get pitches to hit, and so important to get on base in front of the big guys. That's what Whit Merrifield has done time and again as a leadoff hitter for Kansas City. A base hit to left, and now Bobby Witt Jr. mentioned the other day that Bobby Witt Jr., his father, actually pitched briefly with the Cardinals back in 1998. Merrifield has 3 of the last 5 stolen base titles in the American League. Season ago he had 40. He had a season of 45 in 2018 and 34 in 17. And Whit will tell you it's not just about speed, but he talks about studying video all the time, understanding the pitcher, tendencies. In the air, out to left. That'll stay in the ballpark as the catch is made by O'Neill. Retreating back to the bag at first, Merrifield, and it brings in Benintendi. For the best coverage in the game, let's check out the T-Mobile coverage cam. I love that view of the rotation of the camera and the view of the crowd, and a different look as we play here at Busch Stadium. Pretty cool.
I'm with you on that one. I am with you.
So 1 out and a runner at first. I always feel that when we're down the left field line, if we do our Champions Club broadcast, you see how big the outfield is. I mean, if you're located down the first or third base lines, there is a ton of ground to cover. And television, and why should I tell you this? You know it better than anybody, but television doesn't do it justice. It is big out there.
I didn't know you were talking to me because I was kind of thinking along with you. I'm like, yeah, he's right. Interesting out there.
Thinking to myself, why am I telling an 8-time Gold Glover that spent a good portion of his career doing that? But
yeah, you could have some kids. You could play some young kids soccer games out there in between the outfielders in the gap.
No kidding.
And they wouldn't get in the way. Every time you say that, I look out in right center field and I'm just like, wow. Especially if, Harrison starts to creep over to left center field a little bit. Here's the thing that hurts too is I don't know if we can get a shot of this, the outfield, but you got a lefty hitting and he's throwing sinkers away. So as a center fielder, you're going to slide over to the left center field side. But if he misses with the slider, you're so worried about that in right field that you want to stay straight up, which gives that gap even more room.
Stepping in just a bit at third, it's Arenado. And that pitch taken in, 3-1. Kisner, by the way, has thrown out 10 of 29 base stealers, 5 of 22 last year. So there's the outfield configuration that you're talking about with Bader.
Yeah, that's just give you a look. Sorry, I looked down for a split second, but that gap, just because of the sinker going away and the slider coming in.
Imagine that Mike Matheny would want to start the runner here.
Yeah, I would think so, huh?
Ground ball pitcher, good speed at first, and a combination to do it. And the 3-2 pitch by Hudson. Runner goes, swing and a miss, throw to second.
A great jump right there.
Ooh, if he fields it cleanly, they might have had him. It's a stolen base for Whit Merrifield.
A pretty good release right here by Kisner. And the thing that I do like here is even though he doesn't throw it perfect, he keeps it down because he's in a hurry. And you're right. If he feels that cleanly, this is going to be really close. This ball just has to travel a little bit more. See how he tried to catch that? He expected it to bounce up a little bit. Looked like it might have stayed down. It's kind of an interesting look right there. That tells you everything you need to know about what's going on in the infielder's mind. If he thinks that ball is going to pop up, the glove is upright. And if he thinks it's going to stay down, he flips that glove over.
Step up your pregame routine with the Rally. Watch the Rally every weekday on Bally Sports Midwest. Is this conversation, Jimmy, about first base open? You got Salvador Perez at the plate, and I understand it's only the third inning, but he is so dangerous with the home run he's already hit. He had 48 a year ago, and also maybe going over signs as well for the middle infield.
Well, I first think that, yes, I think that the man on second base maybe wasn't approached earlier. I think you also have to be careful because he might run for no reason at all. If he runs that much, you can't give him a lot of room at third. That's not a play that he really needs, but he might try to steal a run here. He might try to disrupt the throw, have him throw the ball into left field. Guys that can really run can take that chance. Otherwise, you don't steal third with 2 outs. And also, yeah, don't forget, if you don't get ahead, that's what we're going to try and do.
So 2 outs, runner at second. Hudson steps off. Good portion of Major League Baseball using the electronic signs punched up, if you will, on the forearm of the catcher, then relayed to, in Spanish or English, not only the pitcher but the infielders as well. Long look, and the first pitch taken inside.
Salvy's taken all the way too. He's expecting to get pitched around. I found it interesting. I walked over and said hi to Rex Hudler, and he said, what would you have thought about if they would allow you to know every pitch that was coming? I said, oh man, I mean, I knew the majority from looking. He said, no, Our catcher, pitcher, middle infielders, and center fielder all have that mechanism in their hat. Pitch comm in their hat.
And you're talking about from a defensive perspective.
Defensive. I mean, you're talking for a guy that's playing the outfield and guys that are playing up the middle. You're talking about 3 or 4 steps at times. You know, not having to guess. As it's hard to see the signs all the time, and especially with there's guys on second, it makes it almost impossible. To be able to know that way ahead of time would be unbelievable.
2-0 pitch by Hudson. Popped up on the 2-0. Playable. Goldie over and has it. That's a key out.
That's a great pitch.
Sends us to the home half of the third. Goldschmidt, O'Neill, Arenado. Cardinals Hall of Fame, the ballot is open for you. A few more days at cardinals.com/HOF. Carlton, Matty Moe, Edgar Renteria, Silent George, and Matt Holliday.
Silent George. I haven't heard that since I was a kid.
Well, the thing was, he was Silent George because, as the story goes, he got burned by the media. Didn't dislike the media, but something happened. He felt he got burned with it. And it wasn't like he was not cordial. He was great, and he is great. So he just didn't like talking to the media, so he got Silent George. But then if he wasn't being interviewed, man, it was talkative George. Believe me.
I can tell you the story from firsthand experience.
I was,
you know, his son grew up with me in Diamond Bar.
Yep.
And he would come to Little League practice every now and then, and you're right, he wasn't silent.
Not at all.
So much fun. Kids, family, everyone, just what a wonderful family they had. And he was modest, shy, and then he could have a blast as long as he was around his group. I loved him.
Part of the 1982 championship club, and we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of that team all season long. Here's a 2-2 to Goldie. A swing and a miss, and Goldschmidt 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. Strikeout number 3 for Daniel Lynch. You can see why the Royals and many around baseball are high on this young man. He's got a live arm, Jimmy. He's got good stuff.
Yeah, I don't think Goldie's picking him up real good yet. You know, there's been a couple of pitches that's kind of jumped on him, and that was kind of a awkward looking swing too.
Base hit for O'Neill his first time up, and a run scored. Had a great conversation with Stephanie, his wife, and Dad Terry, and Marilyn, his mom. They were on the field before the game. And I said to him, I said, Mr. O'Neill, baseball, not hockey for Tyler? And he said, oh no, he's a really good hockey player, center iceman. He said, now Dan, you'd be surprised. He liked to mix it up a little bit. He could be very physical, but Tyler then told me, he came over and I said, well, what happened? And he said he hadn't really grown until he was about 15 years old. And so he was small and gravitated then at that time to baseball. And he hits a rocket to short, caught by Mondesi. And that's what took him here to the big leagues. And then Tyler winked and said, I think I made the right choice. I agree. Nolan Arenado with a 2-run homer here tonight. And he has been on fire. It's our All-State mayhem moment. 2-run homer for Arenado. He now has 3 homers and has driven in 9 in 3+ games. He is on everything right now as he yanks that foul.
Hear what that sounded like off the bat?
Sounded like his home run the other day. Man, oh man, is this guy locked in.
Listen to this. And if you're home and all the way in California like his brother is, wow. And he just knows it. Those are the ones you don't want to waste. Every time he hits a home run, guess who I'm getting a text from? His brother Jonah. He loves it. Talk about your biggest fan.
Nolan will bring in his brother all the time, and they work out together. Brother played minor league baseball. It's a count of 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 outs and nobody on.
I think he played up until just about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
The foul ball was 110 plus off the bat. It was 110.5 miles per hour. Loud. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Arenado. And got him. A couple of strikeouts in the inning and 4 in the game for Daniel Lynch. And we move to the 4th. We're tied at 3. You receive a Grateful Dead tie-dye baseball jersey. And Jake's Leg, which is a Dead tribute band, will be here. Tickets at cardinals.com/theme.
Jake's Leg.
You got it. Santana, Mondesi, and Taylor, a couple of switch hitters, and then Michael A. Taylor from the right side. Shift on the right side, and that pitch is lined down the left field line and foul.
You ever think of all the years of all the music in this world? How do you come up with the name of a band in these days and this era? I mean, seriously. Like, you just can't throw something out there. It's already been taken. So we'll just go with Jake's Leg. How do you come up with that one?
Jimmy, in all the years of music and bands, I'm just shocked that you thought of that.
I think about it all the time, Danny. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with my band.
Here's a 1-1. Another souvenir down that left field line and out of play. Turned out to be a very pleasant night here at the ballpark. Mid-70s. We understand a lot of rain and nasty weather potentially for tomorrow. Cardinals had their game washed out yesterday against Pittsburgh.
I'm hearing hail, and that scares me. So I would say to everyone I know, heads up, because it's massive damage to some cars. That's the one, I mean, other obviously than the wind and the tornadoes, but that hail thing, I'm not a big fan.
Don't know many that are.
Well, I've seen some damage. I've seen some dealerships where friends of mine down south, Sapal in particular, have gone down there and seen what it can do, and it just wipes out the whole fleet. We've been very, very lucky.
3-2 pitch. Big cut there by Santana. Well, tomorrow should be fun here at the ballpark if we get it in, and hopefully we will. Wainwright and Greinke. Two guys that have been doing this a long time, and probably two guys that aren't real happy that the DH is in the National League.
No, not at all.
They can swing the bat. 3-2, put in play back to Hudson, and he'll run it over for the out. So the Budweiser What's on Tap, back where it all began for Zach Greinke in Kansas City. Last season, 29 starts, Waino with 32, and both still able to get it done. Greinke, Waino tomorrow. We'll have it for you at 11:30 on Bally Sports Midwest. Ollie was telling me before the game that he faced Zach Greinke in high school. Took him deep.
Oh.
He said he took him deep, and then he said Zach Greinke decided to dial it up a notch or two the next at bat. He said the next at bat, boom, 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 and he was sitting down. He said Greinke put it probably 5, 6, 7 miles an hour on the fastball, and he said I was done.
Whoops.
But he also said in playing against him, and Ollie was a freshman at that time, he said you could see it. He said he was an incredible athlete, not just pitcher, but athlete. Was a shortstop at that time and a terrific player. 2-1 on Mondesi.
Well, what's amazing to me about his stuff and when he was younger was he had the velocity, he had the curveball, right, and then the changeup was decent, good slider, but the movement, he had all of that, like almost like a little bit of Martinez, you know, like movement everywhere, breaking ball, and when he honed it in, he could have been unhittable. And then he finally started to figure it out.
With a ground ball out, this one hit to Tommy Edman. Mondesi 1 for 2 tonight. Well, we have a moment. Quick word from Rally House.
Play ball, St. Louis. Shop the latest in Cardinals style with your favorite brands and throwback designs. Rally House has gear for every fan.
Taylor, a 2-run homer back in the second. That tied the game up at 3. Salvador Perez also with a home run. Ground ball slowly hit up the third base line, and it is a fair ball. Ruled a fair ball as Arenado let it go, and apparently it goes over the bag down at third. Hesitant was the third base umpire. Do or die potentially for Arenado. He let it go and thinking it may go foul. Apparently it stays fair, and that is not reviewable.
And I think that he made the right choice. I just think that it really caught Paulie off guard at short. Look at it bounce back. Wow, did you see that? That last bounce bounced a little bit to the right. Well, to the right in this one, but to the left in the other one.
Watch the umpire, though, and how hesitant he was in making the call. I mean, he's got to be saying that it's a fair ball with his hands. Now, you don't say anything verbally. You do it with your hands and your arm.
I think he was just as shocked as Arenado was that it bounced fair. Did you see it? I wish you could see it again.
I thought it was a foul ball.
But watch this bounce. Well, you can't see it there. But watch it kick back.
Very close there, yeah. Might have been fair.
And I'm telling you, that other angle, the ball was bouncing foul, and the last bounce kicked back into play just enough to straighten it out.
There's a 1-0 pitch. Diving stop, Tommy Edman. The Gold Glover takes a hit away from Lopez. Great play, Tommy Edman. Albert Pujols coming up. Had homered in Busch Stadium wearing a Cardinals uniform. It was Game 6 of the 2011 NLCS. He is now the 4th oldest Cardinal to homer, behind Dazzy Vance, Stan the Man, and Walker Cooper, and now Albert Pujols. And just the 3rd St. Louis DH to homer at Busch.
You know what I think is cool? All of this is going, me and you, goosebumps, loving it. You're screaming, yelling. I have to cough, but did you see our dugout? Every guy on the top step and every guy jumping out of their seat. That's what's awesome. They love it, appreciate it, and get it just as much as anyone else, and not taking it for granted. And that guy right there leading the charge. And maybe High Sock Tuesday.
Maybe so. 2 balls and 1 strike on Albert Pujols. And the next to Albert. And that's a base hit to left, and he's 2 for 2. Liberty Mutual Insurance field coverage. Albert Pujols in his career against Kansas City, and he has tore him up. I mean, the numbers at the beginning of his career in interleague play against the Royals, they were just ridiculous.
First thing I said to you is I thought, that's it with the average? Do you remember those days when he was 5 for 5 and 4 for 6? And it was unbelievable.
Going back home to Kansas City. Ground ball left side, and that's a base hit for Tommy Edman. He's 1 for 2.
He was in a little bit of a slump one time, and we went to Kansas City, and he went out and hit early. Then he came into our group to take batting practice, and he looked me square in the face. He said, I'm going 5 for 5 today.
And he was serious, and he did it.
And he did it. 5 for 5.
Yep.
Not 5 for 10, 5 for 6. He was like, well, he said, I'm going to get 5 hits today. And he was 4 for 4 at the end, and something happened where we had scored a couple runs in the top of the 9th, and he came up and hit another double, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy can do anything. Anything.
It's not only the guys wearing the same uniform as Albert Pujols, but everybody wanting to talk to him. I had a visit with Dylan Coleman who is in the bullpen for Kansas City. He is from Potosi, Missouri. And I said, well, did you grow up a Cardinal fan? And he just kind of smiled. He said, absolutely. I went to all the opening days I could. He said, I went to 4 or 5 opening days in a row. I said, who was your favorite player? Thinking he might say you or Albert Pujols. He said, Scott Rowland. He said, I wanted to wear number 27, did all the time going through high school, and then he played at Missouri State. And here's an 0-2 pitch to Bader. A strikeout. And I said, have you ever talked to Albert Pujols? Now it's almost a cute story. Here's a major leaguer and a guy that throws triple digits. And he said, when I walked in to the stadium today, I saw Albert Pujols. And he said, I just couldn't go up to him.
Oh, man.
He said, I want to, but he said, I don't want to bother him. He said, I could tell he was, maybe getting ready to go to work and do some things. I didn't want to bother him. But he said, you and Scott Rowland and Albert Pujols, he said, those are my guys. He said, I grew up idolizing those guys.
If Albert finds out about that, he will seek him out.
I bet he will.
Promise you.
Here's Paul DeYoung with 2 on and 1 out. And the runners were about ready to go. I mean, Albert is the kind of guy, does he run well anymore in terms of speed? Did he ever? Not really, but did he steal bases because of his sense? Baseball smarts? Yes.
Well, we had that talk the other day about pitchers will fall into a little bit of a pattern. And it's not the pattern of them looking back and forth or taking their time. It's sometimes when they go to home plate, they're done looking at you. And I think he was kind of reading that, and he just paused for an extra second.
Here's the 0-2. Albert has not been caught in 14 consecutive stolen base attempts going back to 2015. And the 1-2 check swing, and he went. So back-to-back strikeouts. Well, we have a moment. Quick word from Tickets for Less.
Tickets for Less, for a better ticketing experience. Best seats, best prices, and no surprises at checkout.
Here's Kisner, popped out to first. 0 for 1. This could be kind of a swing inning for Kansas City if they can get out of this. When you think about getting the first 2 runners on and not bringing them in or moving them over. You think about maybe the bunt with Bader, elected not to. Struck out, then the strikeout of Paul DeYoung, and now Kisner in the hole, 0-1. Now 0-2.
Yeah, I think sometimes you feel like you get the leadoff guy out there and then the next guy gets a hit. You kind of have to forget about the small ball part, but you also have to think about this. It's going to be tough to score Albert on a single, especially as hard as the ball is hit, the jump off the bat, the way the ball flies, and might not have been a bad idea maybe to push something or bunt for a base hit / sacrifice right there and then see what the guys behind him can do. Not saying that that's Harrison's job because he wears lefties out too, but you never know. I mean, every day is different. This guy's sneaky. That's a great way to combat a good left-handed pitcher, was just keep piling on runs, even if it's 1 at a time.
The 1-2. Kisner hits it out to deep left. It is hooking. It is gone. It's a home run. Kisner, 3-run blast. Birds back on top.
I don't know if you remember this, but this looked identical to his home run in spring training. Identical. Up in the air, down the line. He knew it. Was it going to be fair? Yes, it is. You don't think they're having fun in there? You gotta love it.
Carlson limping a bit after that swing. It's kind of an odd swing there for Dylan.
Watch how high, if we get a replay of this, how high this ball hits him in the leg. This ball is really coming in hard on him. He hits him in his upper thigh. Watch this.
Sure did.
That's hard to do. That is barreling down on you. Whew. Those are the days that I remember why I just wake up and take the kids to school. Don't get very, very frustrated with carpool. Those bruises hurt.
That's a fair ball. And a base hit, Dylan Carlson. Bobby Witt Jr. was near the line, and that was barely fair. And he's having a word with our third base umpires. He had a couple of plays going down the line that he's ruled fair. Boy, this is really close.
Ball kicked back again. See that? That ball's over the bag. Watch this again.
I mean, this is almost the identical
Watch
spot.
this ball bounce right. He's in the way. It kicked back just enough. That's a hard play for the third baseman right there.
All 6 of the runs for the Cardinals tonight have been scored via the home run. Here's Goldschmidt. And there are times you see Paul in the first couple of bats, maybe not picking things up out of the hand, and then boom, he strikes. Quick move over to first, and back in is Carlson. Jordan Hicks has been throwing in the St. Louis bullpen.
Got that little, you almost got him right there. That when you get out there sometimes when the weather's not super hot, right where the leadoff point is, it gets a little soft. And if you get out there and get stuck and you try to get your footing back as you're moving, you could slip a little bit.
High fly ball, deep left center. Michael A. Taylor with just enough room on the track to make the catch. Inning started with a base hit by Pujols. Edman followed. A couple of strikeouts, and then Kisner struck with a 3-run shot. Redbirds lead at 6-3.
Andrew Kisner, a 3-run shot as the Cards are back on top. 6-3, we go to the 5th. When you're catching behind Yada, you don't get a ton of starts. You also get to learn from one of the best to ever do it. Andrew Kisner, the starter today. Ollie Marmol likes how Kiz has handled his role. Ollie told me it's pretty impressive because he prepares every day as if he's starting. He does his homework. He dives deep into the hitting reports. He can answer any question a pitcher has about the opposing batters. Today is Kisner's 61st start as a big leaguer. Danny Kiz told me it's never easy, but I feel like I have a pretty good handle on things now. He showed it last inning.
All right, Jimmy, thank you. It's Jordan Hicks who was going to make a start in this homestand. He will be a starter, but with the rain out yesterday, they want to keep Waino in line, keep that rolling. And so you could expect Jordan Hicks to give you multiple innings here tonight in a role that he's familiar with, which is coming out of the bullpen. Dakota Hudson gave the Cardinals 4 innings tonight, 70 pitches. And what a weapon now to have Jordan Hicks come out of the pen and give you multiple innings, which he will do this evening.
Well, yeah, Jimmy just reported and said that Kiz has got a little handle on this, and as he says that, here comes Jordan Hicks. So hopefully he's got a handle on that. But I think you can get away with this right here. I think your off day on Monday, you know, you can stack these 2 guys right here and not really lose a whole lot because of the off day on Monday. That would be probably his day again. Probably helps out just enough to be able to throw these guys in the same game.
Had a long conversation with Jordan the other day, and he said, first of all, this is a role that he has wanted to do. And he said, look, I'll take on any role they want to give me, but this is what I'm accustomed to. This is what he did primarily coming up through the ranks in the minor leagues. That is a sawed-off bat and a foul ball.
Yikes.
Cam Gallagher at the plate. But Jordan said this was at the advice of what he felt was right and the medical staff to keep him healthy for a full season. So you pitch, you come out every fifth day, then all of a sudden you're doing your bullpens. And we saw that he has ridiculous movement. We saw that in spring. There was a bat against Jazz Chisholm that he threw at 101 and it moved almost 2 feet.
That ball almost looked like it just caught a seam and took off like a one-seamer. I mean, you don't see two-seamers run that much at that velocity.
Look at this. He's just protecting right there and the velocity of Jordan Hicks. But he said with the velocity, he said, it's there. If I wanted to go to 101, 102, he said, but as a starter, you also need to back off a little bit. And that's something that he is going to do. He said you'll see it in the high 90s, but primarily, you know, he's going to back away from just airing it out like he would as a reliever.
I was hoping he was going to throw that slider up and over the plate. Was waiting for some knee buckle after those last 2 swings on the fastball.
Here's a 2-2 pitch by Hicks.
And look at the movement on that. Just everything he has has just got extra movement. You know what's funny is, you know, we talked about all the movement he's got at 101 and 100. He's going to have more movement, I think, with the velocity down, so he's going to have to make some adjustments.
3-2 pitch, fouled back. As many of you know, Jordan Hicks is a diabetic, and between every inning, Jimmy, he goes into the Cardinal dugout and does a little finger prick to get a reading of where the numbers are. And so he's very conscious of that at all times, but especially trying to play Major League Baseball. So he's very cautious with that. And then his diet changes too with the days that he's going to pitch. He may have a little bit elevated levels on purpose for what he wants and what he needs for certain areas of what he deals with. But really a great story. And I said, do you feel like you're an inspiration? He said, I do. You know, you hear from so many people that suffer from diabetes, and kids, grown-ups, all over the place. You hear that, and there's ball 4. But he said he hears, you know, the letter, gets the letters, he hears from people, will talk to people, and as he goes along in his career, he said, I'd really like to become somebody that they can look to, but be more outspoken about it to try to bring up awareness and hopefully raise some money for people too. He's a good kid. More on Hicks. Let's check in with Jim.
Danny, the news that the Cards were going to put Hicks in the rotation as a starter seemed to come out of nowhere. You mentioned it, I think, first on a spring training broadcast. But you talked to Jordan. He said this is something they had been discussing for quite a while. They know it's going to be a process to build him back up. He'll work tonight. Ali Marmol told me 40 pitches on Saturday for his start. They know they're going to have to build him up, but they think it's the best path for Jordan going forward.
Thank you, Jimmy. And we had heard rumblings that they may do this in the offseason with the idea to get him as healthy as he can be and maintain his health throughout a season. So this began at the very end of last season. And then he went to the Arizona Fall League just to get on a mound, make sure he was healthy, competition, more than just throwing a bullpen, and went into the offseason as a normal offseason, but did train as a starter. So that's what his pattern was like during the winter months. Here's a 1-1. Pop foul by Whit Merrifield. This young man has got all kinds of talent. Talking about Jordan Hicks. It's incredible.
Like, you know, you can see maybe the ease of his nature right now too. He's just kind of throwing, and it's crazy that it's still come out of his hand between 96 and 99, and he looks so much more relaxed. The effort looks about dialed down a little bit, but the velocity is still pretty good.
Could be 2. Softly hit, the turn, double play, 6-4-3 off the bat of Whit Merrifield. Wasn't hit sharply, so had to be turned very quickly by DeYoung and Edman up the middle.
Good job by Paulie right there. He got around it a little bit, so we didn't have to take any wasted steps. See how he's going towards short as he picks it up. If he catches that ball flat-footed facing the hitter, then he has to transfer the ball, the weight, and everything towards second base. And so he kind of surrounds it a little bit. And as he's coming to the ball, he's coming towards first, towards second, and then he's open to just kind of give it a little flip without the shoulders having to be turned. Everything's already ready to go.
Here's a 1-0. Outside to Bobby Witt Jr., who struck out and flied out 0 for 2. So he's 0 for his last 8. And just 2 hits so far this year. Expectations through the roof for this young man. The 2-0 pitch. 2-1. Baseball America's minor league player of the year a season ago. Hit 290 and split time between Double and Triple A, and combined popped 33 home runs. The 2-1. Good pitch running in on the hands of Witt. From 0-2 to even. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cardinal bullpen has been exceptional so far in the first 3 games. And covering a ton of innings because starters are not going deep. They've only allowed 10 hits at a 1.26 ERA. Full count. Only 2 earned runs by the bullpen allowed this weekend against Pittsburgh.
Pretty sure I faced his dad a few times when he was with Texas.
3-2 pitch. Got him. Strikeout for Jordan Hicks in his first in 2022. Coming up, O'Neill, Arenado, and Albert Pujols. 6-3. St. Louis Cardinals baseball on Bally Sports Midwest is brought to you by Ford, the official car and truck of the Cardinals. By Car Shield. Car Shield cars go farther. And by Jack in the Box. Popcorn chicken combos for $5.99. Get it classic, spicy, or 50-50. Tyler O'Neill, 1 for 2 tonight. The first pitch, he singled to left, scored. The 2-run homer hit by Arenado in the first, and then lined out to short in the third. The 0-1. Nothing in 2. Lynch at 70+ pitches now. The 0-2. And a strikeout of O'Neill.
That's 3 sliders in the exact same spot. Wow.
That's 7 strikeouts for Lynch. Kia player profile. The debut of Nolan Arenado was back in 2013, and since that time it's updated with the 2-run homer hit tonight. He's got the most extra base hits since his debut in late April of 2013. 2-run homer in the first, already his 3rd this year. He has driven in 9, and he's 1 for 2. Up and in, ball 1.
60 more than Mike Trout. 60.
Yeah. Lifted in the air to center field.
Wow, he just missed that too.
So 2 outs, and it brings in Albert Pujols, who is 2 for 2. Back in the first inning, home run number 680 in his first back in St. Louis with the Birds on the bat. So 2 outs and nobody on. And ball 1. 7 strikeouts for Lynch. That ties his career high. The 1-0. Albert Pujols 3 for 3. Are you kidding me?
I don't want to say it, but I told you so. There's something left, I'm telling you. Change up right there.
Ridiculous.
Change up off the end of the bat a little bit, out over the plate. He stays back. Look at the position. Just stays back. The thing I loved about him was he's a big guy. He's got all that power, but when he starts to go after that ball and he recognizes it down and away, he all of a sudden just becomes a base hit guy. He just stays on it, lets go of the bat, and will take the single.
Tommy Edman rips it out to left. Benintendi back over his head off the base of the wall. Pujols on his way to third, and Tommy Edman picks up his second hit tonight. A double, runners at second and third, and a little something cooking here with 2 outs in the home half of the 5th.
Ball is smoked. 107 off the bat.
Lars Nootbaar, cheerleader here tonight. He was in the starting lineup yesterday, but with the game washed out, he was going to be the DH. So he's on the bench with a lefty tonight. Joel Payamps, right-hander, getting loose. So trying to get one more out from Lynch. Next pitch will be his 80th. Well, I don't know, Jimmy. I mean, you're down 3. You know Bader loves hitting against the lefties. You got to think about a righty here in my mind.
I think you do too, and I think that's why you go out there and talk, because he hasn't really had much success against him tonight. So I don't know, sometimes you just have to go with your gut, right?
Yep.
And then hopefully in this case his gut is wrong.
Here's a 1-0, and Bader hits it into center, so the move will pay off to stick with Daniel Lynch. Cardinals strand a pair. They have left 4 on tonight. We head to the 6th. Cardinals on top. 8 or more gallons of gas at a participating station using the My Phillips 66 app. Get up to 50% off Cardinals tickets. For more info, visit phillips66gas.com/Cardinals. Second inning for Jordan Hicks. Benintendi, Perez, and Santana for the Royals. The Cardinals with a 6-3 lead. All the runs for St. Louis scored via the home run. First pitch out to center. There's Bader, 1 away. Benintendi 0 for 3 tonight. Mike Matheny, when he was a player in St. Louis, was an awfully good one. 5 seasons, 3 Gold Gloves, and part of some of those outstanding teams that you were on. Albert Pujols was on. Scott Rowland, Izzy, Yachty. I mean, it was an embarrassment of riches at some points for the St. Louis Cardinals. He won 3 Gold Gloves in his 5 seasons. And as a manager, Mike had a .586 winning percentage. There's John Mabry as well, who has followed Mike to Kansas City.
Smart move.
But as a manager, they reached the NLCS 3 times, went to a World Series, lost to Boston. I bring this up, Jimmy. I think time heals all wounds with, everything when you talk about whether it's a manager or a player. And it would not shock me one bit if Mike Matheny eventually becomes a Cardinal Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he had a very good record. It just didn't work out at the very end. And I bet he would tell you it was time to move on. Organization, felt that way. That was their stance. There's a swing and a miss and a strikeout for Hicks. But as a player and a manager, Mike Matheny left quite a mark here in St. Louis.
Well, I think I read a few things too, and he admitted that he had maybe done a few things wrong. He learned a lot from being here, and I don't, like, we talked about this the other day about being a manager. Like, it seems really easy. There's no way. There's no way it could be that easy. And for him to go from basically not doing much at home, being retired, dealing with concussion syndrome, doing a little bit of TV up here, and then all of a sudden you're the manager of the Cardinals. I mean, that has to be some kind of change for you, and tough to do, I think.
Following a World Championship team and Tony La Russa.
Yep.
Not easy. The Cardinals not to be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Joel Hyams was activated off family medical emergency list yesterday. Pitched the 9th inning against Cleveland. 1 inning, couple of hits, gave up a run, 22 pitches. Back out there tonight. Lefties hit just 177. Last year against him, the righties much better at 262. It'll be DeYoung, Kisner, and Dylan Carlson for St. Louis. Also, Cal Eldred is not here with us tonight. Pitching coach for the Kansas City Royals. He had a family emergency, so Larry Carter made that mound visit and serving as the pitching coach tonight for Kansas City, and hopefully everything is okay with Cal. Another one of our favorites too, that spent some time up here in the booth with us and bringing post-game shows, and now back in uniform.
Yeah, he was awesome. Awesome teammate. So funny too, because I started my career playing against him as a young 20-something, and he was a veteran, but just one of those guys you didn't like to face. Intense.
Hyams is 6'2", 230, 27-year-old from the Dominican Republic. Tied him up, and a good pitch and a strikeout of Paul DeYoung. DeYoung 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. StatCast powered by Google Cloud, and the home run hit by Andrew Kisner. One out and nobody on. Hyams used his first major league paycheck to completely make over his mother's house in the Dominican.
Good for him.
He's pitched with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was with Toronto for a portion of last season, made 22 appearances with the Blue Jays, and then a trade brought him to Kansas City. Originally signed by the Rockies.
Still only 28.
Here's a 1-1. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kisner 1 for 2 with that home run. The 1-2 pitch to Kisner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mentioned that the Royals go back home after this brief 2-game set. And then the Cardinals will head to Milwaukee, Miami, and Cincinnati. We'll be on the road for a while. Cincinnati split with the world champions, the Atlanta Braves. And the Cubs beat up on the Brewers over the weekend. So with the Mets and the Nats, their benches cleared in their series, and the same thing happened with the Cubs and the Brewers.
A lot of pitching inside, so to speak.
Well, I wonder about the weather, the cold weather, the slickness of the baseball, and then the crackdown on the foreign substances to grip the baseball, and that's taken inside, and you'll see umpires now this year, instead of checking the hat or the belt or the uniform, they're going right to the fingers of the pitcher. So they go right there and just check the pitching hand to see if there's any kind of substance on that hand.
You know what I think they're lacking right now is I feel like the mud, the Mississippi mud that they rub up the baseballs with. I've seen a couple of baseballs. We saw one that was fouled off during the game the other day, and it just seems really dusty now. It doesn't seem as sticky. It doesn't seem as like it's drying and turning to dust, and that's not good because now it's cold and you can't, you know, you're not getting any moisture in your hand, and now the ball isn't very and they're not sticky, but they just don't have any, you know, it almost seems like you'd be better just kind of getting them a little bit wet and throwing them in the bucket. Like that mud turns to dust if it's not, if it doesn't have the right components.
0-1 is tapped up the middle softly, and Carlson out number 2. Advancing on the play, it's Kisner to second, and the batter will be Paul Goldschmidt.
Did I ever tell you about the story about me rubbing up the baseballs in spring training? I was laughing because the balls, I kept rubbing up the balls with KT, and I would rub them up so dark, and he was like, hey, that you can't, they're too dark. And I'm like, but they don't feel good. Like these guys, they want something to, you know, throw. And it was in spring training early, like 4 games. And I said, let me try something. So I went and kind of messed around back behind the scenes. And I came back and I had 4 different baseballs. And he said, where'd you go? And I said, well, here's your ball. Here's my dark ball that's too dark. And I said, here's one with orange juice. And here's one with Coke. And I took him to Wayno and I said, which one do you want to throw? And he picked the one with orange juice.
Well, I'm sure.
And I said, it's too bad that's illegal.
Yeah.
But I did. I took him out there and I was like rubbing. I was trying to just figure out, like, what could you put on it just to give it a little something? Because, you know, I'm with these guys. Like, I think somebody said as a pitcher, like, or as a hitter, said, I don't mind them having something on their fingers because I don't want to get hit in the head.
No doubt.
So there's got to be a happy medium.
Grounded to short, and Mondesi makes the play. So high umps, scoreless inning, and the home plate umpire will make his way over to him and say, let me see those fingers. Let me see the hand. All right, you're good to go. Healthcare difference maker. The home runs hit by St. Louis. And one that really stands out right there. Albert Pujols, his first back in St. Louis as a Cardinal. Andrew Kisner, a 3-run homer. Tonight is the 241st career game with 3 or more hits for Albert Pujols. 241 of them, which now ties him with Honus Wagner for 32nd all-time in baseball history. He had 1 3-hit game last season against Arizona, and Jimmy only had 10 multi-hit games the entire season last year, and he's got 3 hits here tonight. Nick Whitgren, third pitcher used by St. Louis. 2 scoreless innings by Jordan Hicks, and now Whitgren.
I love those stats. I love when you can get that in depth because there's a lot. It's not like he's only played a couple years and, you know, you can kind of like just weed through some games. I mean, you're talking about a long time and a lot of at-bats. 11,000 at-bats. It's crazy.
Here's a 1-1 to Mondesi. Ground ball, right side, taken there by Tommy Edman for the first out. First out recorded by Whitgren to start play here in the 7th inning. Kids Fleece Blanket coming up on May 1st, presented by the Pasta House. Sunday, May 1st. Come on down to the ballpark. It's the 11th time that Jordan Hicks has pitched at least 2 innings and not allowed a run of any sort. So he gives the Cardinals 2 innings tonight. Here's Michael A. Taylor in the 1-0 pitch. Taylor with a home run. And he's 2 for 2 as an infield hit as well.
I find that kind of interesting because that makes me think, what is in store for him next week? Is there a little shakeup, or, you know, because that almost turns into a bullpen day. I thought he might get out there. I thought he might go a little bit longer.
I did too.
Just playing kind of guessing game as a fan.
The former Red, Amir Garrett, the lefty, getting loose in the Kansas City bullpen. 2 balls, 1 strike on Michael A. Taylor. Ground ball to short. Charging DeYoung. 2 away.
The play right there.
Almost came up on him, but he stayed with it. Makes a nice play. 2 outs. Wickren's got kind of a funky delivery, Jimmy. At the very end, kind of hides it. Watch, the front shoulder just comes in just enough to maybe hide it.
And the movement,
yeah,
kind of sideways as much as down. It kind of just gets. It's like I said, that when it comes out of the hand, you have to make the decision, right? Looks like a fastball for a strike, and that just keeps chasing you. And when the ball is in, you can't speed up. You can slow down, but you can't speed up.
2 outs, nobody on. Nicky Lopez takes the ball outside. Grounded out to first. Then a terrific play by Tommy Edman to take a hit away, diving to his left. Lopez is 0 for 2. And the 1-0. Ground ball, base hit. Quick word from BJC.
St. Louis Children's Hospital, the only place where Washington University physicians have gathered from across the globe, discovering and developing life-changing treatments for kids.
Gallagher is struck out swinging and walked against Jordan Hicks, first batter that he saw, then erased on a double play. Hicks did not allow a hit. He struck out 2, walked 1 in his inning of work, or 2 innings, I should say. So 2 outs and a runner at first, and the first pitch to Cam Gallagher. Fly ball out to deep left. O'Neill is back. It's off the top of the wall. A run will score, and Gallagher has made this a 6-4 St. Louis lead. He drives in his first of the year.
Not too sure if O'Neill didn't realize that he got jammed a little bit here. It looked like he thought this ball was gone. And it almost was.
So the tying run will come to the plate. Back to the top of the lineup, and Whit Merrifield. 1 for 3 tonight with a strikeout. Single to left, a stolen base, and grounded into a double play. Cody Whitley starts to throw in the Cardinal pen. First pitch, taken low. Cardinals will have O'Neill, Arenado, and Pujols coming up.
This guy reminds me of Grzelcyk a little bit, doesn't he? He just plays. He just plays. He doesn't say anything. He just plays. He can
That's
run.
a good one, yeah.
Same kind of look to him.
Kind of body type, stance.
Just hits, hit line to line.
I was disappointed when the Cardinals did not bring him back.
I loved him.
Very good year in 05.
Like I think he was one of our, like, the most athletic second basemen I've ever seen.
Hit for the cycle against the Brewers on a day game at Busch Stadium 2. It's a shortstop for many years with the Montreal Expos. Cardinals brought him here. He played second base and was very good for that 1 year.
Just has that look to him, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, that was shocked me too when he was gone.
Good player. 2 outs and a 3-0 pitch by Nick Wickren. And he walked him. So he gets the first 2. Then a ground ball found a hole and a base hit into right. The double off the top of the wall in left. And Merrifield draws the walk. Runners at first and second. And Mike Maddox out to visit. Get 100% MLB verified tickets easier than ever on StubHub, the official partner of the Cardinals, offering the widest selection of seats and prices. And look up your seat view before you purchase, so you now see the view of the field. Tickets available on StubHub up until the first pitch. Bobby Witt Jr. 0 for 3, pair of strikeouts in this game. First pitch, a strike. Kansas City 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position tonight. The young year, Bobby Witt Jr. 2 for 4 in this spot. The 0-1. Chopped left side. DeYoung to first, and let's stretch. Royals pick up a run on the double by Cam Gallagher to score Lopez at 6-4. Midwest brought to you by St. Louis Children's Hospital. Only St. Louis Children's, Missouri, the #1 pediatric hospital. By Budweiser, this Bud's for you. And opening week is presented by FTX, the official crypto exchange of MLB. We've seen this guy a lot. Amir Garrett, the former Cincinnati Red. He's a setup guy. He was a closer, even started some while in Cincinnati. And it's our Chevy call to the pen. And Garrett, the lefty, will get Tyler O'Neill, Nolan Arenado, and Albert Pujols.
I would say he will get his hands full.
Interesting that you would have a lefty to face these three, in particular Pujols. Garrett last year, the righties hit .267 against him. Gave up 6 home runs to right-handed batters. And the first pitch is a strike. It's the Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers will donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri.
I should just go with the veteran being around. 94-mile-an-hour fastball, just fastball slider, but like you said, kind of interesting.
Popped up into the glove of the second baseman, Nicky Lopez, and the first out here in the home half of the 7th. Nolan Arenado is 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer back in the first inning. Struck out swinging in the 3rd and fly to center in the 5th. First pitch to Nolan is taken for a strike. And it's just Cabrera, hard throwing lefty, getting loose for St. Louis in their bullpen. Garrett was a terrific basketball player in college. He played at St. John's and chose this route to Major League Baseball. Really good athlete. Since 2018, 237 strikeouts, 7th most among left-handed relievers. Arenado lines it to 3rd, and Bobby Witt Jr. is there, and it brings in Albert. The Budweiser plays of the game off the bat of Albert Pujols. That is number 680. But he's not done. 2 more hits, and Albert Pujols is 3 for 3. Single to left, stayed back on a changeup, and a base hit into center.
A little leg kick working today too, didn't he? High socks, leg kick. It's working.
And the first pitch is strike. Went 0 for 5 on opening day, but 3 of the 5 balls that he hit were hard. 0-2.
How narrow he was right there. As you get a little bit older, it's harder to stay down in that stance. Found that one out.
Every time he steps to the plate, you're trying to catch history. And Pujols hits a little flare into shallow right, and the catch is made. Albert 3 for 4 tonight. We move to the 8th.
Live, as we'll be joined by Ricky Horton. Of course, we'll talk about the long ball and the big night for Albert Pujols. It's all coming up on Cardinals Live after tonight's game as we send it back to Buck.
All right, Scotty, thank you. And the new pitcher in is Genesis Cabrera for St. Louis. Pitched on opening day. Win an inning, no hits, no runs. Did walk a couple. It was the first 2 that he faced in that ball game. Then settled in. Struck out a pair and no damage done. Chevy called to the pen. Genesis Cabrera. Benintendi, Perez, and the switch hitter Santana. Before it's all said and done, Jimmy, it does seem to be a strength of this club. But the bullpen, we'll see if it plays out that way, but so far so good.
Yeah, I think that the staff is overall is going to be as good as they've been. You know, it always comes down to health.
First pitch swinging and a ground ball that's hit to first. Goldie there steps on the bag and the out. Benintendi is hitless tonight, 0 for 4. Salvador Perez, the DH tonight, homered back in the second, popped out into foul territory to Goldschmidt and struck out in the 6th. 1 for 3. We both were commenting off the air how put together Salvador Perez is. He is a big man.
I'll tell you what, the Kansas City Royals definitely benefit from letting him DH once in a while, huh?
Absolutely. You got to keep his bat in the lineup too.
Yes.
A little bit high, ball 1. Opening day, it was 22 pitches for Cabrera. Pulled foul, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Heads up. Wow. Almost lost a few people down there in the Royals dugout. Whew.
Perez 48 home runs, tied Jorge Soler in 2019 for the single season record in Royals history. And he launches this one out to deep left center. Bader is back at the wall and it's gone into the front row of the bleachers, and with that home run, his second in this game. It cuts the St. Louis lead to 6-5. Two solo home runs, Salvador Perez.
That is squared up right down the middle.
Last year, he was also tied with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the major league lead in homers. First Royal to ever do that. And now it's a 1-run game. A strike to Carlos Santana, the switch hitter. 13th time that Perez has had a 2-home run night. Second time he's done it against the Cardinals. 1 ball, 1 strike. The 1-1. Pretty good hack right there and fouled it back.
They're not shy, are they? Fastball comes out of his hand and they are getting after it. Good look at the defense right there, and your favorite thing, the arch cut out in the grass.
Love it. The 1-2. Center field. Harrison Bader under it. 2 outs. While we have a moment, quick word from Great Southern Bank.
Did your favorite song move you a little too much? Hey, it happens. When it's time for a breather, you can turn your debit card on or off right from your phone with the Great Southern mobile app, all without missing a beat.
Here's Mondesi with 2 outs and nobody on. Grounder, and that is a foul ball. Heads up play though by Nolan to try to get it in fair territory.
Did you see where that ended up? Right at the chest of Paul Goldschmidt.
Flicked it over there.
It's amazing. Just whoop, and ended up dead on.
Mondesi 1 for 3 tonight. Ground ball to short. DeYoung stays down on it, and he makes the play. The home run hit by Perez has cut the lead to 1 midway through 8. Opening homestand here at Busch. Greinke, Wainwright, Royals, Cardinals, Valley's Sports Midwest. So here is Dylan Coleman, the Chevy called to the pen. Born and raised in Potosi, Missouri, went to Potosi High, played college baseball at Missouri State. He was drafted number 111 overall in 2018. And he was the player to be named later for Kansas City in the Trevor Rosenthal deal with San Diego. So mentioned that his favorite player was Scott Rowland. Loved the teams of Jimmy Edmonds and Albert Pujols. Used to come to opening days. Grew up a fan of the Cardinals. And now here he is pitching in the stadium in which he used to come to as a young boy. Pretty cool.
That is really cool.
And this young man can flat out bring it. And I asked him, I said, when did your velocity have this uptick? And he had back issues. And you can see he keeps himself in really good condition. That's one thing that changed, was his workouts, you know, improving his body. But he said a trainer gave him an exercise to help his back. And he said the next time he went out, he said it was almost like an act of God. He said it just happened.
It's amazing when everything is working.
And that's
properly.
what he said. He said everything was in sync. And he said, I jumped 4 to 5 miles per hour in my next session after doing this. I said, I'm assuming you're still doing that exercise. He said, oh yeah. Oh, what a play here. Mondesi to his left and robs Tommy Edman. What a play. Oh man.
I see that he's got a little bit of his daddy's arm in there too. Little Lumpkin run. What's this throw right here? No effort at all, just whoop.
Boy, what a play. Whew. Coleman averaged, by the way, Jimmy, 98.2 miles per hour and 66 fastballs that he threw in 2021. That was 13th best in Major League Baseball. Pitched against Cleveland a couple of days ago, win an inning. And that's in for a strike. 15 pitches in that game at a 1-2-3 6th. I asked him too, I said, well, how many family and friends are here tonight? And he just started shaking his head and laughing.
Boy.
And I said, too many to count? He said, yep.
I remember those days.
So this young man, Joe Strom, who works in the Cardinals ticket department, his son played with Dylan Coleman. So Joe was able to provide a suite for family and friends. And that's it down the right field line, foul. And so they played like 5 years of Little League baseball together on a travel squad. And Joe wanted to make sure and take care of his family. And he had gone over to Kansas City to see him. And he said his dad, it's just like watching Little League. His dad will get up and starts pacing. Now that he's in the big
I was
leagues.
doing that the other day.
So it's just like watching Little League.
Man, I'll tell you what. I'm starting to feel that same thing.
0-2 off the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and Bader is 0 for 3 tonight.
I used to be able to sit down, sit in the back, sit in the outfield, relax. Landon pitched his first game the other day, and I was walking all over the place.
The 1-2. Joe said I was having flashbacks to Little League baseball, except I was at Kauffman Stadium.
I'll tell you what, this has got to be pretty awesome. I
love it.
I can remember the exact day that I walked onto Anaheim's field for the first time, and instead of becoming a fan looking down, you're there looking back at the stands. It seems 20 times bigger, and that is the coolest feeling ever.
The 2-2.
And how awesome is that of the Cardinals to be able to come through and accommodate,
yeah,
like only they can do. It's got to be quite a thrill for Dylan.
So Dylan made his Major League debut last year, September 21st in Cleveland. And that's lined out to right field. Merrifield is there to make the catch. Out number 2. Giovanni Gallegos throwing in the St. Louis bullpen. But I love it. I mean, now these are the guys, Jimmy, that grew up here, and this was their ballpark. You were their guy, and here they are in the big leagues, and that is why we love this sport so much. It's great. Dylan's a big kid, too. He's 6'5". In the air, deep right center, and off the glove, it looked like, of Taylor. And DeYoung at second base. Looked like it hit off the very top of the glove of Taylor.
Yeah, he just whiffed it. Sometimes when you run that far for a ball, your head starts to bob. So the ball is bouncing in the air as you're running because you're not smooth anymore because you're trying to run it down. When that starts to bounce, sometimes when you reach up, it's like anything else. It's just not where you expect it to be. He's right there. See how hard he's running? And it's just, you can see what happened right there, too. Watch where it hits. It hits behind him. Just took his eye off. The ball's bouncing when you're running.
Here's Kisner, who is homered here tonight. I mentioned that Dylan is 6'5", 230 pounds. And at Potosi High, he scored over 2,300 points in basketball. He was a great athlete and was all-state in baseball and basketball. And now here he is in the big leagues. The 0-1. Potosi is in southern Missouri, not too far away from here, probably about maybe 90.
I'm going to go with 57 miles if I was to be correct.
About 90 minutes.
How about the one-on-one they could have in that bullpen with him and Garrett?
Be pretty good.
That would be.
Some dunks, blocks. Love it.
A little shoot around for spring training.
Just don't get hurt, Jimmy.
Oh, no. That's why it's a shoot around. There's no game going on, please.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. It's also amazing how many guys we talk about that played at Missouri State. A really good program. Missouri Valley Conference, and this is another one.
Well, I think it's pretty cool because you talk about all the guys that don't come from huge colleges, you know, and a lot of the young kids think it's so important to go to a Division I or you know, the biggest schools in the country, and it's really not all about where you play. It's how you play and, you know, how your body kind of grows into it. So don't be discouraged if you don't get drafted or, you know, a scholarship right out of high school, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that go different routes. Not about what you did, it's what you, when you get here and getting here.
But it's a fine line, too, for Mike Matheny when you're in a tight game, or any manager, and you know he's a young kid, all these family and friends back home, when you want to get him in there to make sure that everything is calm, just do your thing. You know he's fired up right now. The 2-1. 2-2.
Those are just one of those things you just rather not know as a manager. And just keep that out of your back of your mind.
The 2-2 pitch. And a strikeout of Kisner. Welcome back. Dylan Coleman with a scoreless 8th inning for Kansas City. Comes back to St. Louis, pitches for Kansas City, and this guy is back in St. Louis as well. And that's Albert Pujols in a 3-hit night for Albert. 680 home runs. Great moment here at the ballpark. His first back in St. Louis as a Cardinal. First guy to greet him is good buddy Yachty. Love it. Serving as the DH tonight, 3-hit night. You got Greinke on the mound tomorrow. Why not roll him back out there? There's Giovanni Gallegos, got to get there first. And the Cardinals trying to hold on and pick up their 3rd win of the season. Archevy called to the pen. In 73 games last year for Giovanni. Pitched on opening day, went an inning. No hits, no runs, walked a man, 21 pitches, 13 were strikes against Pittsburgh over the weekend. Hudson, Hicks, Whitkin, Cabrera, and now Gallegos. Michael A. Taylor is homered tonight, has an infield hit and grounded out to short. 7-8-9 for Kansas City. And the first pitch is strike. Right-handers hit 190 last year. The lefties 177 against Gallegos. Ali continues to say it's really not a clear-cut closer for the back end of games, but if things fall into place, more times than not, it'll be this guy on the mound. You would have to imagine.
As long as he's healthy.
The 0-1 pitch. Big crowd tonight, just announced, over 40,000 here. With school still in session and a Tuesday night, over 40,000.
That is what you want to hear if you're in the front office here in St. Louis. That is awesome.
Popped up. Foul territory. Kisner near the screen. Throws the mask, makes the catch, and the first out. The second baseman, Nicky Lopez. 1 for 3 tonight. He was robbed by Tommy Edman back in the 4th on a diving stop to his left. Also grounded out to Goldschmidt and singled to right. So a lot of balls tonight he is pulled. One out and nobody on, and the first pitch to Lopez. Taken for a ball low. Mike Matheny has gotten an extension already. They picked up an option for next year, and he's talked about the young nucleus that he likes on this team, and they've got a bunch of players coming.
I was going to say ditto if I was in his shoes, right? Pretty talented young team.
Their minor league system is producing too. After they won the World Series, some down years, but they feel that it's not that far away. If the Cardinals hold on, Jordan Hicks will pick up the win. It would be his first since May 31st of 2019. Still 2 outs to go. Here's a 1-1 pitch.
Change up right there. You don't see a whole lot of those from Gio. Just left it a little bit outside right there. I kind of saw him give the wiggle fingers right there, and I thought, is he really going to want that changeup, or is he trying to set him up? You know, if they're watching, he kind of gave the high target and then went back down low. I can get the slider here. Oh.
2-2. Lopez hit an even 300 a year ago. The first to do that in Royals history was none other than Lou Piniella in 1970. Boy, that is unhittable right there. Wow.
Just talking about the difference between the slider going down and going across. It's going down. It doesn't stay in the zone long enough to hit it.
The 2-2. Full count. Lopez only 27. Came up with the Royals back in 2019.
Be a great stat if you think about it. Two stats I like. You're talking about bat speed the other day, I think, right? Or hand speed. I think the bat through the zone, time through the zone, and the ball time through the so-called strike zone, if they could make a box. That would be interesting, because that would explain a lot of things for you right there.
3-2. Fly ball, left field. O'Neill. 2 away.
Think about that. If you really thought about that, those are probably the two most important ingredients to both sides of baseball. How long your bat can stay through the zone, and how very little your pitch can get in and out of the zone.
So the pinch hitter will be Ryan O'Hearn, pinch hitting for Gallagher. Cardinals jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Royals tied it up then in the second inning. Cardinals grabbed a 3-run lead back. Royals have come back with 2. We're down to the final out as this crowd comes alive and they're on their feet. First pitch to O'Hearn. Strike 1. The 0-1. Off of Gio. Collects, throws, and the Cardinals win it. Giovanni Gallegos finishes it off with a comebacker right to him and stayed with it. Made the play, and the Cardinals win it 6-5.
That was close right there. Good game all the way around, I believe, right there. Look at the pitchers you got in the game today with Hudson Hicks, Whitgren, Cabrera, and then Gallegos finish it out. Another night with 10 hits, Danny. Offense is doing its job so far this year.
Fun night here at the ballpark, highlighted by number 5 and a big home run for St. Louis. One I'm sure he won't soon forget, and neither will we. The post-game show comes your way next. 6-5 the final.